I quit my job and was offered a raise to come back, but now that I have accepted the offer and been working again for 2.5 weeks, my boss is cutting the first paycheck with raise tomorrow. So today he says that I must change my availability in order to get the raise. I work the same shift every day because I have a family, and I am off on Sundays for church. Now he says that if I want my raise on this paycheck, I must be available for a different shift and be available on Sundays. If I don't agree, I don't get the raise. I turned down interviews and job offers to come back to work because I thought I'd be getting a raise. I have worked these weeks under the impression I'm getting a raise. Now that he's doing payroll, all of a sudden there are conditions of the raise? This can't be legal. Please advise. Edit. I have a text message where he offered me the raise if I came back. So I do have proof of the raise. Edit 2. He is saying that if I don't change my availability, then he will not give me the raise on time I have already worked. Edit 3. I walked out today. Too many people hiring at better wages to take this crap. I let him know that I expect to be paid the agreed upon wage for the time I have worked. If my paycheck on Friday is short, I will be pursuing my lost wages. Got fired for telling my boss to expect lower productivity when they force us to return to the office. So I work in tech and have been remote since the very beginning of the worldwide thing. I was only in the office for about 3 months before we went remote. I'm not a bad employee, but I also didn't go above and beyond with my work. I did what was needed to be done and only took on extra tasks if I was asked to. I like working from home, especially since I can get an extra hour of sleep every morning and I can cook all my meals at home. I have time to work out and dabble in my hobbies. My productivity is great, as is everyone else's in the company. Anyways, today my boss sent out a mass email saying we are returning to the office full time starting next week. I know most people are unhappy about this, but management doesn't care. So I responded to the email saying, well, expect lower productivity if you force us back to the office. No one responded to me. Later today my boss called me and told me that they are doing some cutbacks and that my position has been eliminated effective immediately. I'm in an at-will state, so I know I can't do much. Luckily I can probably get a job pretty much whenever I want. I just thought it was funny how fragile some people are. The greed of the company I work for almost got me killed today. For context, I am a welder and I do tanker trailer repair. For my job I use a lot of somewhat dangerous tools, but most of the risk can be minimized with proper maintenance and good quality tools. It's the second part of that which my company failed to do. They had me drill a 4-inch hole in a piece of 1/4 4x6x12 piece of stainless steel. Nothing too out of the ordinary, but the hole saw they provided was the worst quality I have ever seen. It was brand new, and when I first went to use it, the thing fucking shattered as soon as it touched the metal, sending pieces of it flying all over the shop at high speed. One of them embedded in my thigh, another in my face shield, which the company refused to provide and I had to purchase myself. The piece that hit my face shield would have gone into my throat and probably killed me if I wasn't wearing it. I understand that there is risk in my job, and if I fuck up and get myself hurt or killed, I am okay with that. But I have a problem with getting hurt or killed to save my boss from spending $30 more on halfway decent equipment. This also isn't an isolated incident. My coworkers have stuff break on them all the damn time. Last week one of them spent 20 minutes picking chunks of a cutting disc out of his arms because the company bought discs that weren't rated for the die grinders they provided for us. This disregard for our safety is a massive fuck you to me and my coworkers. If they don't give a shit for our safety, why should we give a shit about go? I walked out of a new job after only a day. Today, that same office manager interviewed me again. Out of college I worked for a big law firm as a paper pusher. I wanted to be a paralegal, so I took a job at another firm so that I could pad my resume with the title. I, 34/M, was 24 at the time. When I started at the new firm I could tell the office manager was a problem. Everything about her just screamed insufferable co-worker. Maybe that was the problem. I view managers as my co-workers. A few hours and she starts giving me the office rules, which include 1. No cell phones in the office at all, leave it in the car. 2. No cursing. 3. Random drug testing. Boom. I was done. I walked into the office manager's room and told her that she should have been more upfront about the incredibly restrictive office policies during my interview, and I left for my old job. 10 years later I'm a lawyer working at a big national firm. I'm approached by a local attorney who tells me that he is looking for a succession plan before he retires. I worked with him on a case and he liked me enough to call me a year later and offer me this interview. So today I am interviewed by another older attorney and his office manager, who is the same manager above. I didn't recognize her but she had my email address saved, and she certainly remembered me. Before introducing herself she walks in the room and asks if I was the guy who walked out of her old firm because I didn't want to be drug tested. I was floored. You're trying to poach me, and this is how I'm greeted? Do you even see a person here or am I just a memory you've clearly held on to? She goes on to tell me about this new job, how I will take a pay cut, how the older attorneys will dump their files on me, how I won't have access to support staff for a few years, how I'll have to start commuting, how they've had to fire other attorneys for not working out. I kept it cordial even though she clearly wanted to get this off her chest. I tried to move on, but she did not relent. So I said, I didn't agree with the office policies. I think one of them was no cursing, which seemed unreasonably restrictive and weird. So you went back to your old firm where you could curse and say whatever. Yes, they treated us very kindly and like equals. That is still my first priority. I won't be taking that job. I f***ing hate my job. I'm a hostess at a chain restaurant and last night I was clocking out and when I checked out to see if I made tips I saw I only made $2. Not a shocker. I went to my boss so he could tip out my $2. He told me since I messed up on an order he'll just call it even and take the $2. Isn't that illegal? I know it's only $2 and I shouldn't care but it's the principle of the matter. You can play me at work but if you play with my money you've crossed a line. Any advice what I could do? A company I was applying for asked me to redesign their website as a design challenge. I'm a product designer and I applied for this company. I had the first chat with the recruiter and she was walking me through the hiring process. She causally mentioned I'd had to redesign their whole landing page. Just a 1-week project so they get a better impression of my skills. I said absolutely not. I'm happy to do a hypothetical design challenge of a few hours max, but I'm not working for free. I'm also glad to share how much I charge by the hour and they pay me for the work. Otherwise we end the hiring process here because this is a huge red flag. Needless to say they didn't want to pay and we finished the hiring process there. I'm experienced enough to say no and see the bullshit. However, there's a lot of young designers who will think this is normal in our industry. It's not and it shouldn't be. Don't work for free. Update. I wrote a Glassdoor review. Basically what it says here. Hope this warns other potential what documentation from a funeral home. I'm told you were absent due to death. I'm SOS sorry to hear of your loss. However, do you have any documentation from the funeral home? I would need that to enter the proper absence code for you. Thank you. Added a section to my employment contract stipulating that I will charge $50 for each email sent to me outside of office hours, $100 per reply. I told him I made some changes and he should read it. Don't know if he actually did but he signed it. To be continued. Update 1. Wow. So many of you are great. Thanks so much. Wow. So many of you are awful. This isn't an attempt to extort money. What I want is less work contact when I go home. All this has to be is a successful deterrent for me to consider it a victory. I didn't get any emails last night so you'll have to stay in suspense. It's also not outside the realm of possibility that he read it and was okay with it. I know for a fact he's familiar with delay delivery in Outlook and we've spoken on this issue before. Though not named specifically, this really only applies to the owner, boss, since he's a micromanager. It doesn't happen often but when it does it's email, text, email, then did you get my email? Where are we at with that? At 10 a.m. the next day. Any other coworker I don't care. I do audio video and in addition to base salary I bill as an LLC for rental of certain equipment items and tasks so I have a means to charge without going through payroll. Everyone that just doesn't check their work email. Keep holding your head up high I guess. Edit. In no way am I expecting this to work and I don't particularly care. We really don't have that many late emails and I'm probably going to move next month anyway. I'm anxious and can't help myself from checking email. Sorry, I added it as its own clause to the portion about my compensation for trade shows, events, anything else out of the office or after hours. He signed it first, then gave it back to me to sign after having it for most of the day. Boss micromanaging breaks. I got sat down at work today due to upper management finding out that I did a Zoom interview on my lunch break. We don't get paid lunch breaks and I made sure I was off the property. I was told that my behavior is inexcusable and I need to respect the workplace. I asked why it mattered what I do on my lunch as I'm not on the clock and I didn't do anything against policy. My boss told me that even though I'm on lunch I'm still required to adhere to policy as if I'm still on the clock. I asked which policy I technically violated and he said the cell phone policy, personal phone calls. Currently waiting for HR to email me back. Yes, I am doing this at my desk on the clock. Sorry, but HR says we can't use your current salary to pay you more than our lowball offer. Got a job offer which was lower than what I currently make and asked for the maximum salary step in the range. Was told by hiring manager that HR can't approve that because they can't justify using my current salary to establish their offer. Okay then. I politely declined the job. They call back shortly wanting to talk it out more. Again, when I ask for the max step range, hiring manager says that HR won't approve that and current team members make less and have been there longer so it isn't equitable. Okay, how is that my problem? It's called capitalism, which companies love to boast about. You pay the market rate or higher when there is a scarcity of goods like labor. Why even include a range if you're not going to accept a number within that range? Is there internal equity that a person's rent is double someone else's mortgage just because they were born into the wrong generation? Good luck finding the right candidate. Sorry for the rant, but this really steamed my clams. Supervisor tried to cancel my PTO with less than 24 hours notice. I am the only person on my team who can do my particular job. There are 4 teams with rotating 12-hour shifts. I requested a day off with 2 months notice 2 weeks before the day. It still hadn't been approved. I asked my supervisor, let me ask the other teams and see if I can find you coverage. 1 week before the day. I ask again. Still haven't heard back. Ask me tomorrow. Next day. Finally get approval. Make appointments for my extra day off. Start getting excited for the extra rest. Get in the day before my PTO day. Immediately start busting ass to leave as little work as possible for my replacement. About 3 hours into my shift. Go and ask supervisor a clarifying question. While he's looking up the answer I glance at the PTO sheet and notice my name has been crossed out for tomorrow. Supervisor sees me looking. I'm sorry, but your coverage for tomorrow won't be able to make it. I'll need you to work. Me. I made 2 appointments. I really can't make it. Supervisor, can't you reschedule me? Not with this little notice. But honestly, this isn't about my appointments. I'm the only one who can do job, and I'm starting to feel trapped. If I can never take PTO, I'm going to start looking for a new place to work. He grimaced but said he'd figure it out. An hour later, he came back and said he would cover my position himself. I'm glad he reconsidered, but I'm still pissed that he took my PTO off the schedule and just assumed I'd be okay with it. I get that we're short-staffed, but if I quit from being overworked, they'll really be screwed. My dad wasn't happy I took a sick day. After working at my new job for a few months I needed to take a sick day as I genuinely wasn't feeling well. When my dad came home and saw me in bed he immediately asked me if I was a bee and asked why I wasted a sick day. I told him I needed one and he said I didn't and I should only use them when he's dying. God bless my dad as he is a very hardworking man and I have nothing against him. It just sucks to see him and everyone his age believe that they have to sacrifice their bodies and health for workplaces that would replace them the moment they drop or can't work anymore. Fired for being a trans woman. First, let me say that this isn't about agreeing or disagreeing with the way someone lives. It's about treating everyone like a human being. Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. My friend is a beautiful and kind trans woman who's struggled for years to find employment. She worked side jobs to save thousands for cosmetology school and graduated with near perfect scores. Not one damn salon would hire her. While searching for employment at salons, she was yelled at. Some people laughed and others had the nerve to bluntly say, "We don't hire your type." You may be in shock, but this is in Kansas where discrimination is more prevalent. After giving up on salons, she finally found employment at a restaurant and she was bursting with joy after years of pure hell. She was doing great until a customer requested a different server because they're Christian and don't support that lifestyle. After this incident, the manager said she makes customers feel uncomfortable and for business reasons they're going to have to let her go. She isn't confrontational, so she calmly said okay and left. That was it. These customers would rather see trans women unemployed and on the streets than working a full-time job. I have no idea how to help, so I thought I'd come to you guys for some advice. We live in an at-will state and there are few protections for LGBTQ. I also want to take the time to let people know just how difficult it is for the trans community to find gainful employment. Many are fearful to even apply because they've been treated so poorly by potential employers. They are often forced to work high-risk jobs and many end up abused or even murdered. This is a crisis that's happening right next to us, and we should all recognize that there are people in this country who are being robbed of their dignity and treated like second-class citizens every single day. Again, it's not about agreeing or disagreeing with how someone lives. It's about treating everyone like a human. Thanks guys.